All right, so I think we got to talk a little bit about the Fed and what they're doing. They're talking about raising interest rates again. They're trying to slow inflation down. A commentator with Young Voices, his name is Eric Peterson, joining us now on News Talk 820 WBAP. Hi, Eric.
Hey, good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
You know, it's frustrating for a lot of folks trying to buy houses right now because suddenly the interest rates have gone up. They're still lower than they were 40 years ago, but they're still higher than they were just a year ago. And buying a house now is more expensive. The prices are already up. And I keep wondering if this is the smartest thing to do to tame inflation, what the Fed is doing, raising interest rates.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, if the Fed is going to get inflation under control and deal with this problem of raising prices, it's going to have to restrict the money supply, and that means raising interest rates, which is not just to borrow money to build a new house or to buy a house, but borrow money to start a business, to invest in asset prices, all these sorts of things. And we've just been in a long period, as you note, of sustained cheap money kind of going through the economy. And as we've printed more money and that money gets flowing through, that raises prices along with the supply chain issues from COVID, dealing with China, and, of course, the war over in Russia and Ukraine.
Well, this is a frustration that I feel because I hear the Fed saying we're raising interest rates to restrict the money supply. And then I hear the White House saying, no, the answer is to spend billions and trillions more.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting a lot of mixed messages from both our monetary system and, the fiscal leaders in Washington. And it's absolutely going to have some cross effects there. But at the end of the day, right, we've been in a period of unprecedented quantitative easing and fiscal stimulus or monetary stimulus coming through the Fed pretty much unabated since the great, recession of 2008, 2009. And that's been, part of the reason we've had a large run-up in asset prices, right, whether you're talking about stocks or whether you're talking about houses. And eventually, that stuff has to come crashing down as the money supply finally gets restricted and we get something returning to something looking like normal interest rates. And, the price of buying a house, I think the hope is at least while borrowing money might be a little bit more expensive, if you're actually purchasing the housing price, that might be lower because you saw a lot during the last, COVID, where asset prices like houses continued to skyrocket despite the fact that lots of people weren't actually at work.
Eric Peterson with us on News Talk 820 WBAP. Hang on just a second, Eric. We're going to come back. We have more to talk about where the economy goes, including Janet Yellen saying we're not in a recession, we're in a transition in which growth is slowing. So we'll get to that on the way. Right now, let's find out what's taking place in traffic at 6:51 with Monty Cook.
At the problem spot on 175 northbound at Railroad. That one now off to the shoulder. It's about a 5-minute backup toward Lake June, but it ought to unwind there before too long. Looks like the issue on I-30 westbound before MacArthur still there in the 2 left lanes. Heavy beyond Loop 12 Alton Walker. Give yourself about an extra 7 to 10 minutes to get through the area there. Also a new one in Carrollton. I-35 east southbound at Crosby at the right lane closed off for a wreck. Already about a 10-minute backup there that's stretching back toward the Bush Turnpike. Our next update within 10 minutes with WBAP's First Traffic on the Ones. I'm Monty Cook.
Brad Barton in the WBAP Weather Center. Sun's up now, and we're going to be sunny, breezy, and hot the rest of the day, just like yesterday. And remember, everything is just so tinder dry out there that we're under extreme wildfire danger right here in the middle of the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area. It's going to be like that until we get significant rain. And the best we can hope for would be a little bit of rain on Friday and Saturday afternoons. That's about it. Otherwise, high today 103, low tonight 83, highs tomorrow and Thursday 102 to 103, and then that slight chance of isolated storms Friday and Saturday afternoons. Right now we have 84 in Dallas, 82 in Fort Worth. From the WBAP Weather Center.
Eric Peterson with us, commentator with Young Voices. Eric, it's frustrating when I listen to what they're spinning from the White House. And I know every administration does this. Doesn't matter what party they're in. They don't want the economy to go into a recession because it reflects badly on them and their policies and such. So they try to spin their way out of it. And yesterday, I heard probably one of the most ridiculous things I've heard, and that is we're not going into a recession. We're just transitioning in which growth is slowing. It's like saying you're not fat. You're just in a period where thin is not your thing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely right. If you look at the last 10 times that we've had 2 quarters of back-to-back, negative economic growth. We've always sort of declared in a recession. So there's a little bit of goalpost shifting here. I would say that, we're certainly in a period that we haven't seen in a long time, which is high inflation, low economic or negative economic growth. But the job market, still remains pretty good. We saw 380,000 jobs come through the last time. Inflation remains at 3.6%. You have twice as many job openings as our workers in the economy. So the real question is, will people kind of come off the sidelines? And I think that would, do a lot to help with inflation. Part of the reason we have high inflation is a lot of supply chain issues, and there's a high demand for labor, and that increases prices. So will these people get back to work and kind of improve how much America is producing right now?
I had heard Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary, talking about stagflation as a possibility, high inflation and high unemployment. Are people getting laid off that I don't know about?
No, I don't think we're seeing people being laid off right now. But I think the concern on stagflation is that we're going to be seeing this negative economic growth right now and high prices. And that is something that's absolutely a problem. But the last time we saw stagflation, unemployment was definitely much higher. It's probably double than what it was right now. And again, we could probably do a lot to fight both the low economic growth and the high inflation by getting people back to work.
All right, this is Eric Peterson with Young Voices. Eric, thanks for coming on WBAP. We appreciate that very much.
Thanks for having me.
Hal, read that tweet you got from the...
This is from President Biden at POTUS. So I don't know who wrote it.
Yeah.
I'm sure he didn't. Anyway, here's the tweet. At current prices, the average driver will spend $35 less per month for one Peson, P-E-S-O-N.
That's what they wrote, yeah.
Or $70 less per month for a family with 2 cars than they would have if gas prices stayed at their peak.
Well,
they're taking credit for gas prices coming down, and you're saving money.
Yeah. Yeah, thank goodness for that.
He's got my vote.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. See, we knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Think about what's going to be like in November.
Yeah. Yeah,
we knew this was going to happen.
If that bill of goods gets sold to anybody, you got to question whether they have the...
you don't have to sell it. 50% of American voters will believe it.
Yeah.